All right, guys, welcome back to the Feeling Your Passion podcast. It's been a minute since we've been in the actual studio. I've been kind of on the go. We did somewhere in Idaho. Where was I before that?
You were in Salt Lake and Denver, weren't you?
Yeah, but I did like 2 remote ones. Maybe Seaboys was before that. I don't know. We haven't been here in a while, so I had to reset all this up, remember how it even works in the lights. So if it looks different, I apologize. I haven't been in here for like a month. But we got the new kid on the block. It's kind of what I'm going to refer to you as.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Scott Eyer is sitting down with us today. Scott has been with 509 for, oh man.
Oh, geez. It's been 5 years?
5 years or so?
5 years, I think.
And through persistence and grinding and hustling and everything in between, we moved him up to our pro team this year. So congratulations, Scott.
Thank you. Super excited about it.
I'm stoked for you, dude. It's been fun watching your journey. You've been, just consistent. You've been on the social side. You've been on it with sponsors. You've been on it with, following up with fans, consumers, everything. I mean, any question you get on social, you seem to answer it. Anybody wants to chat, you talk with them. End of the season, you're sending like thank yous to all your sponsors and like customized posters. Like you have really put the effort in to be at the point you're at.
Yeah, definitely. And we can even kind of go back to like the very beginning of my story, I guess. But basically, a long time ago, like I think it's been like 7 years. It was actually back when I was on Polaris. I was on a 12 Pro 163. And
that was a 163?
Yeah, it was a 163. And I got invited to this backcountry event. Basically, it was at a rimshot race in Crested Butte, and went to it. I was in Walla Walla University for college at the time, and I called my parents up. I was like, "Hey, I got invited to this event in Crested Butte, Colorado." They're like, "Yeah." I was like, "You guys want to go with me?" So they came over. They brought my sled over to college, and we left from there, drove all the way to Crested Butte for the weekend, and I entered this event or whatever, and there's a bunch of pretty big, well-known names there, like Matt Entz was there, Josh Nerby, Cameron Clementi, bunch of other guys that I think Diz was there too, I want to say. I can't remember. Anyway, and so I entered in. I was the only person that entered the amateur class, and so they just bumped me up to the pro class or whatever, and I was like, all right, well, whatever, I'm here.
There goes my automatic first.
Exactly. And I actually ended up placing second. I beat Matt Entz, and that was like a pretty big deal for me. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's super cool.
It was a hill climb, like gates? Or
no, so it was basically a patch of hillside that there was judges placed around on this whole hillside. You had to go impress them and do like a hop over, some kind of move,
really,
or something like that. It was a super cool event.
Was it in the backcountry or like a resort?
It was at a resort. It was super icy and sketchy, but we made the best of it. And so after that, I had Josh Nerby and Cameron came over to me and were like, "Hey, have you tried to get any sponsors or anything like that?" And I was like, "No, I just some kid from Spokane that got invited to this event or whatever." And they're like, you got some potential, you really should. So they kind of helped guide me through that, and I got my first 3 or 4 sponsors that year, and it just kind of progressively grew from there. I learned how to build a resume, be as professional as possible, and just kind of went from there. So.
Well, you've done a good job. I mean, you're a prime example for people who are wondering how to do it. Pay attention to what Scott's doing. And I know everybody can't see behind the scenes and everything that goes into it, what he does on top of his social side, but just shoot Scott a message if you got some questions. I'm sorry if you get a bunch of questions now.
It's all good. That's another thing is growing up, I was that kid. That was always messaging the pros and being like, "Hey, just to get a response." I didn't even care what it was about. And I kind of understand it now that, time, and you get quite a few of those. But I always made it a goal of mine doing this that I wanted to be the person that always got back to every single person. And I try my hardest, but it is kind of tough.
I feel it. I mean, that goes a long way. I was that kid too. I remember shooting Barant a message on Facebook asking him something, like some dumb question. Like I just was coming up with a question for the sake of messaging him, you know, and
So
just
that's
hoping.
exactly,
It wasn't even like anything I really cared about. I was
Right.
like, ooh, maybe I'll make this a unique question that he'll be interested in
Right.
actually read. And getting the response was like, oh, dude,
Yeah.
it's like,
You're
thank
like,
you
"Holy
so
crap."
much. But I'm really, I don't have a follow-up question because I didn't really care about this question.
Exactly.
But let's take it back even further then. So you're on the Idaho side now. For those who don't know, Spokane and in North Idaho. Spokane's in the Washington side, like Coeur d'Alene area's in the Idaho side. We're right on the border. Like from the office here, we're 5 minutes from the Idaho border. So everybody's kind of back and forth. But were you born and raised in the Washington side or
Spokane? I was born in Spokane. Yeah.
Now you're over in North Idaho.
Yep. Post Falls.
So this has been your home riding area since day one.
Yep.
And where you learned how to ride.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as learning how to ride, my grandpa was actually the one that got me into it.
Oh, that's cool. It's
So-
usually like a father figure or something that gets
Well, I
somebody
actually
in
got my dad into it,
Oh,
and
no
then
kidding.
my mom into it as well.
The roles have
And-
reversed.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
my grandpa was that guy that, he'd do the long track mods. He'd go to like a 141 or whatever, they
Long
were back
track
there.
back
Yeah.
then, yeah.
And then take the hood off and like just to keep it cool type of mods and just stuff like that. And, high marking was the coolest thing ever. And I grew up that way too. So obviously like riding styles have changed and I've adapted to that as well. But, my grandpa got into it and I learned how to ride a lot in Island Park actually. Every winter my grandparents or my parents would pull us out, my sister and I out of school for a week, and we'd go over to Island Park and ride for a week, and then learned how to kind of side hill,
Right.
grab bar side hill,
Well, what were you riding at the time then?
It was a 600 Polaris vertical edge 144
Just a big old
with a massive freaking
refrigerator.
with the massive bars, and thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Those wedge chassis were something else. They were just tanks. I was talking about this in the Caleb podcast. The things Caleb was doing on one of those,
Right.
it was insane.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, nobody was doing that. He was like trying to figure out re-entries on a wedge
Right.
chassis. And we have one sitting here in the office. And I've gone and sat on it a few times, and I'm like, nope. Not a chance. And the only thing I'm doing on this is going straight
Right.
and up. That's it.
Well, that's all they were really designed for. I mean, riding's changed so much. It's crazy.
And so has your riding style. You kind of, I feel your earlier stuff, you were definitely more a jump guy.
Yeah.
Quite a bit in the
I
jump.
still,
You
see, that's the
still
thing.
are.
I still am. It's just we're so limited locally to this area. But so, I mean, you know how it is. We ride trees most of the season, and so.
But it's been cool watching it. Obviously, you still do. I mean, there's a webisode from a couple springs ago where you're going like 150 feet with the nose down, brake tapping, throttle out. Like, you have some really good style in the air.
Yeah.
Like you said there, you're just limited here. But your tree riding progression, I do have to give you a little crap for a while there. I was like, re-entry, holy cow, I can't even say it, tongue twister, re-entry Eyer.
Yeah.
Wow, that is hard to say. Re-entry Eyer. There we go.
I'll own that. I got so much.
It's a
crap for
compliment.
that,
I mean,
but
at the end of the day,
there's nobody really doing them like that, and so I kind of developed like my own little style of re-entries, and then obviously more people started doing them. Sleds started getting more capable, I guess, and but yeah.
Do you remember the year you were like figuring those out?
Yeah, I think it was the first year I was with 509.
Yeah.
It was on my 19 Cat, I think it was. I was trying
That's
to.
so pretty
those out.
recent. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is wild. I mean, it's been like the last 2-3 years only where your general everyday riders been able to kind of take the time to figure them out. Obviously, the sleds have played a big role in it, but social media too. They see one guy do it, and then they see their buddy do it, and all of a sudden everybody's out trying them.
It was my first ride out on that sled that year, and I went up to Revelstoke around Thanksgiving time, which I'm also planning to do this year. But it was around Thanksgiving, and we went up and rode with some of the locals up there, and I saw Dayton Shaflita, and he was doing re-entries, and I was like, I studied how he did it, and that's how I work. I learned how to snowmobile by watching. Like, I mean, I literally am the guy that like won all of those. I think I talked about it at the Heydays podcast, but I'm the guy that won all the movies.
That's where I was in the other podcast. Sorry. I was trying to think of where I've been. We did a podcast at Heydays also. Sorry, continue.
No, you're good. But so I studied like how he did it, and it was he did it like 3 or 4 times, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go up and try it. So I did it. It was like a safe area where if I bailed, it was fine. And it clicked, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this is fun. Like, I'm going to keep doing this. And then, that's where everybody started giving me crap for it.
I watch so much footage editing all the time in slow-mo that I was talking to Caleb about that. I was like, that's when I was able to learn them, was watching Caleb's clips in 120 frames per second. Right. I was like, you re-edit, because then you go do color and you got to edit to the song and all this stuff. And by the time you get through this one clip, you watched it 10 times. Right. And finally, I'm like, I should probably pay attention to what these guys are doing for footing. And like when they're jumping and where their bars are or where their chest is to the bars and all these different, the motions that happen throughout it.
Right.
Same thing, like you were saying, just watching it. And it's kind of cool watching footage, especially slow-mo now with how good cameras are. You can really see every moment in time as far as, from initiation to when the hop starts to whatever, when you drop a shoulder or when you're spotting your landing, all of that. And to the point where, I mean, I think a lot of people are doing the same thing. Dan Adams does a good job in his channel teaching you fundamentals and all of that. But before, when you're watching Sled Next, it was like 240p. Right. It was like standard definition, and they didn't even know what they were doing. They were hoping for the best. But now you're kind of able to go out and take the time to study this stuff and then implement it in the backcountry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been fun, and like the progression of the sport, I guess, too. I mean, sleds, it's so crazy. I was talking about this with somebody the other day. Is like all of the zones that I used to ride up north of Coeur d'Alene, like pretty much every single time I would ride, like I went up there and rode again this last year, and it was like, wow, this is not quite as, like, it's cool, but it's not as quite as cool. And there's tracks everywhere. Yeah. I mean, the level of just skill within the community has increased too. Yeah. And I'm sure that's a lot, sleds make a big difference in that too. But
your honey holes aren't becoming
they're not honey holes anymore.
And then you got to start digging deeper. Yeah, I agree. You see some, but then every now and then I'll see that guy in a zone that shouldn't be in the zone. Yeah. And they're like, how do you get out of here? And I'm like, how did you get in here? Like, you should go back to the truck, buddy. But dude, I'm stoked to get back up to Canada this year. I know you are.
Definitely.
We were talking the other day here about finally getting the U.S. and Canada team reunited for a big Webby, and I got to get you in on that, because the new guy, the new kid on the block with kind of the OGs, like get Borchers, Suhan, Turcotte.
So cool.
And then get like you and like Jay and Roscoe together and do, we're talking about December. I don't know we're going to plan stuff right now on the podcast.
Okay. Sounds good. So, I'll make it happen.
The Ski-Doo shoot, Ski-Doo does their next year's shoot in like middle of December normally. Okay. It's like 14th-ish, somewhere around there in Revelstoke area. But the week after that, since Jay, Blaine, and Ross, I think, are on that shoot, because they do the link shoot at the same time, is staying a few days after, and then we'd go up. So like week up of this Revy. Okay. Like the week of like December 17th or something, and get the whole gang back together and hopefully like have some POW days in blue.
That would be sweet. I mean, just like the names, like
Turcotte, you've never ridden with Turcotte, have you?
Suhan, like those 3 guys are like,
you haven't ridden with any of them, have you?
Yeah. They're like my idols growing up, so. Borch
is an absolute peach too. Yeah. He's the most Canadian I know. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'd love to do that, dude. That'll be fun. But also, you got outside of being moved up to pro team, a lot of opportunity there. You're switching sleds this year.
Yeah,
it's a hot topic on the social medias. I've been. If I get bored, I just go read your comments.
Yeah. So for the last, I think 6 years, I have been riding an Arctic Cat. I bought my own in 16, I think it was. And then went from that 16 to a 19 and then to a 21 and just kind of progressively worked my way up kind of. I was on the Arctic Cat race team last year or the last 2 years and had the goal of trying to get on their pro team and it just didn't work out. I was kind of getting to a point where I had opportunity elsewhere, which is ultimately where I ended up. And I was kind of in the position of move up or move out. So, didn't go exactly how I wanted it to originally. And, but I ultimately ended up in a better position. I'm working with, all sport players locally here in Spokane Valley. I'll be on the Polaris this year. So
I'm pumped for you, dude.
Yeah.
I've been behind the scenes. I've been in that conversation with you quite a bit.
yeah.
I mean, the stuff that goes on outside of 519, it's, at the end of the day, I care about all you guys and everybody on the team and try to help out wherever I can. So it's been, I feel like this has been a 2-year process kind of chatting with you on and off. And then, now that you landed this deal and going into the season with a fresh new sled, and it's fun watching. You had great times in the Cat. I know you did.
No, and
nothing against that at all. It's just their goals didn't align with yours from what we gathered.
That's a really good way of putting it.
But it's fun just in the last month here watching you like reigniting that like fire.
100%. I have not been this excited about snowmobiling going into a snowmobile season for a really long time.
Yeah.
Like I was honestly, I was starting to get frustrated. I'll be honest. I kind of had to take a step back, and I had some conversation. I had conversations with you about it. I had conversations with other friends about it, and it was kind of like the position of, why am I doing this? It's because I want to have fun. Like at the end of the day, that's what my number one goal should be, is to have fun. And that goes along with, that ties into progression. It ties into just everyday life. Cause snowmobiling is my life. It's everybody, all the athletes, it's
everybody listening.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and when you're just not happy and, something's gotta change, and that's what happened. So, and I'm so excited. It was like I had a kind of a time there where I was trying to make the decision, and every single time I would go into all sport, the friendliness and just, they're so cool in there. Yeah. They're such good people. And plus just being on this chassis, I'm really excited about riding the Matrix chassis.
Yeah. I think the thing I said to you that hit home was like, get support from people that want to support you.
Exactly.
Also.
That, and you're nailing it
for
me.
You were going so back and forth, and then after you finally pulled the plug and made the deal, I was like, oh man, Scott's super happy lately.
Yeah, and between those two options, having those conversations is, I would talk about option one, which is not what I ended up going with, and I was frustrated and upset, and then talk about option two, which is Polaris and all sport. I was like, totally change of moods, like happiness, frustration. I was like, it's just a no-brainer.
It's cool. It's for the guys, everybody listening, who I love seeing, like, say our Turcotte or our Sains, Brants, all those guys. The OEM thing is cool, and that's still an awesome goal for you to strive for. Mm-hmm. But personally, just working in industry, I almost kind of think like the dealer level is a little cooler, because nothing on Chris and all those guys at all. Once you come OEM, you're associated directly with the brand, and you kind of lose that, not human feel, but you're not that kind of hometown hero,
right?
And associated with like the local area as much. It becomes a broader audience, which is great. But like all sport, for example, it's super cool because now you're from here, born and raised. It just makes sense, and like, you walk into there and there's people
exactly.
Going there.
So that's the other thing is I used to ride a Polaris. I had a 12 Pro. I think I mentioned that earlier. And my dad and I used to go into all sport all the time. And I went to the parts counter and one of the guys that works there, I was like, yeah, so I don't know if you remember this, but my dad and I used to come in. He was like, oh yeah, I remember you coming in, your dad coming in, your grandpa coming in, like
full circle.
Everybody. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like he's been there, working there a while, and it's been 6 or 7 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And he still remembers my name and everything. And there's
rad.
a few other people in there that are still working there and still remember me and stuff. So it's
that
crazy.
Family feel to
exactly.
it. Yeah.
And it's crazy too, because I like being in the position I'm in now. 6 years ago when I was going in there, that kid that was like, oh, like this is sick, you know. I just want to go in here and sit on sleds and
now
talk to people,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like, it's just crazy.
Yeah. No, I'm stoked for you, dude. I'm stoked for your whole season. I think a lot of people are really excited to see what you're going to do on that sled. I know it's still in the kind of strategy planning here, but I kind of want to, it's going to happen. It's just what it looks like. I think people around this area, there might be a couple opportunities to get out and ride with you this winter too.
Yeah. So we, like you said, don't have anything planned yet.
I know it's going to happen either way. It's just what it looks like.
Go sit down and have that conversation, figure out dates and everything on a weekend. But we're going to do a few rides, also some demo rides. So demo rides and then just opportunities to come ride and chase me around the trees and have me dig you out, basically.
Oh, I'm coming.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Just because you said that, I'm going to get stuck on purpose and be like, nope, Scott said he's going to dig me out.
I'll assist, I should have said. But no, it'll be a good time. Enjoy getting out with the locals that I haven't ridden with, and even people that aren't locals if they want to go ride. So yeah, it'll be fun. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, dude. So with the brand new sled, everybody, including myself, I get stoked on seeing what people are building for the year and kind of what they want it to do. And I know you got kind of two styles of riding, from like techie tree to big jumps. So you got, with the new chassis, you got some stuff up your sleeve?
Well, number one, I have a lot of learning to do, obviously. I have thrown a leg over a Matrix before and I liked it a lot. So I know that I'll like it for one thing. So this sled realistically is going to be probably one of the most like rowdy fun sleds that you can ride that's not a turbo.
Yeah.
And I guess an 850, not a 9R. I've never ridden one, so I don't know. I don't know, but
fair.
I'm a relatively stock sled. So it is currently a pro chassis. So I went ahead and through Reflash Northwest got some Ice Age bomber rails. So I'm running those in the chaos geometry. So it's going to be a little more rowdy. I also am doing the Elevate kit. So I honestly, I don't know the difference between a non-Elevate and an Elevate. So we'll just see how it goes.
You're gonna like it. You're gonna like it.
I'm sure promise. I will. But anyway, so those two items are probably some of the bigger two items. But I'll be doing tunnel support through Road Concepts. I'm throwing on the Fox floats as well, so all the way around, which I'm really excited about.
Plush.
Yeah,
You can like sit down through whoops.
So I haven't run air shocks in a long time, and I've never run this high end of air shocks either.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited for that poppy feel that you can just bounce off of everything and go into landings hard, and you know how it is.
Yeah.
So super excited about that. I'm doing RSI handlebars, straight line, just muffler, quieter muffler. I'm not about the super obnoxiously loud. It's not a me thing, because I like everything loud. Like my truck is straight piped, my car is straight piped, like my wife's Jeep would be straight piped, like everything is straight piped. But I always feel bad when people give me ski poles, and I'm like, I feel bad asking for a ski pole because I know how loud it's going to be.
I got mixed emotions on the loud can. Like, obviously 16-year-old me loved it.
Right.
Now I hear one that's just like,
it hurts.
That. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, if it's loud, it better be making power.
Right.
And I know cans are not.
Most of the time,
so like,
no.
I'm like, turbo, like Silvers or whatever, loud, making a bunch of boost.
Yep.
Twin pipes, loud, making 20 extra horsepower.
Right.
But like a race can, I'm like, oh no,
And-
I can't do it.
I mean, I like it when it's on my sled, but not when other people.
I know what you mean. Yeah, the thrill of riding it, and then the second
Exactly.
somebody riding towards you, you're like, ooh.
Right.
Yeah.
So so this year I'm running a quiet can from
nice.
Straight Line, and then let's see what else I got. A couple parts from Pin Performance just to kind of structurally make it a little stronger at some of the weak points. Seco seat cover. I'm kind of excited about that. It's very colorful. My color scheme is changing. That's the other thing is colors kind of changed up on me. Sled I thought I was getting, and then unfortunately Allsport had it sold, so they gave me a different sled, which I'm totally okay with. It worked out because
Was the first one all black or?
it was like it was a lime squeeze, like just accent colors, and then like a grayish blue, like really dark colors.
Yeah.
So I kind of had whatever color scheme I wanted,
Right.
and then I ordered all my parts, and it was different. It's all good. I'm happier about this because ultimately I'm going to end up with a better chaos than that chaos would have been,
Right.
because I'm going to put the floats on and
Yeah.
bomber rails, all that stuff. So I'm sure there's something else, a few other things
Well, it's
forgetting
going to be
about,
fun
but-
watching you figure that thing out because it's going to be a
Yeah.
little pogo stick. I know your cat was set up pretty poppy, but
yeah.
I can't wait to watch like ride with you for the first couple of times because you're going to be like a fish out of water. It's so hard changing chassis.
Yeah.
I think Cat to Polaris are probably the easiest chassis to change between, but like the guy, like if I get on a Ski-Doo, dude, it looks like
No, I can't
It
either.
looks like my first.
I
snowboard.
rode, so Jaden Ballard, he's an ambassador with 509.
Yep.
A lot of locals know him as well. But he rented a Lynx last year, and I tried it, and it was bad. I tried to saddle kind of side hill, like carve, and I went from straight up and down straight into the hill, like just slammed into the side of the hill. I was like, I don't know how to ride this thing.
I feel like the fronts dive so hard.
I don't even know.
It's vertical to horizontal steering. That's all it really comes down to.
Yeah.
I can't do those steering posts at all.
So I just gave the sled back. I was like, I'm done.
That's a good segue though. Jaden, you and Jaden kind of have this group called Core Freshies.
Yeah.
Which Core is it's kind of a good play on words actually. Like core group of friends, but then core, it's spelt core like Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
I've
ever
never even thought about
That's
that.
what I always
I'll
think.
roll with it.
Yeah. It's like your core homies, Core Freshies. And you guys have done some pretty cool stuff for the local sled community the last couple of years.
Yeah. So kind of to touch bases on that is Jaden actually started an Instagram, just called it Core Freshies. That's kind of how he actually hit me up on Instagram, and that's kind of how we met.
Oh,
and,
really? That's how you guys met? I didn't know
so I guess we can dig into that
Love
too.
it. First DM.
Well, no, actually.
Oh, he turned you off the first time.
So this is what happened.
Oh, boy.
So
Got a lot to unpack here.
he messaged me, and he was like, "Hey man, we have similar riding styles. We should probably ride sometime." And kind of getting back into
You've seen a few of those messages before.
Exactly. So I kind of have a little bit of a go-to on how to reply to that in a way that I try to be as nice as possible, but say no.
Now there's going to be a bunch of listeners that are like, he said that to me, that son of a bitch.
I know, now I guess I'm giving it away now. But so I replied with, yeah, man, that sounds great, but my season's getting pretty booked up.
I think I've got that message before.
No, whatever. I know that's never happened. But so he was just persistent, and I found out that my wife and his fiance at the time, wife now, played soccer when they were like 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
And so my wife was like, yeah, you should go riding with them sometime. I was like, all right, that's fine. So after like a week, and then we went riding, and we kind of broke off from the group and found this one hillside. And that was when we kind of figured out that like all right, like, yeah, this friendship is
This is
gonna
fun.
work.
Yeah,
Like, we
yeah.
both had super big smiles on our faces. We were like pushing each other. It was so fun. And so we kind of became really good friends and like riding buddies, and went pretty much consistently every
Yeah.
weekend, and kind of went from there. And then I kind of through learning sponsorship and all this, like kind of how some of the industry, I'm always learning, but kind of how some of the industry works. I was like, well, why don't we turn this into more of like this Core Freshies brand into more of a brand, basically, rather than just a personal Instagram account. So that's kind of what we did. Started selling sweatshirts, made a website, and Jaden came up to me and he was like, yeah, I want to throw this like just kind of get together in my shop, because he was having a shop built. And I was like, oh, yeah, right on. Like, yeah, just have a couple guys. They can bring their sleds. We'll just bring some beer and hang out, like maybe 10 guys. So my wheels are turning. I'm like, all right, like, what if we turn this into like an event? And he was like, yeah, I'm down. Oh, you know, he's always down for new things, whatever.
Yeah.
And we ended up turning it into a winter kickoff event, where we just bring a bunch of people out. We provide free beer, free food, do a bunch of raffles, which 509 donated a bunch of really cool stuff as well. And the first year ended up with 150 people.
Yeah.
So it went from 10, like maybe 10 people, locals, friends, to 150 in 1 year. We had our second one this year, a couple weeks ago, and there was 175 people. All of our raffle proceeds were donated to local avalanche center.
So awesome.
Which was super cool. We actually had a couple people ask us, they're like, yeah, so how much money are you guys making on this? And we're like, nothing. Like, we're just
hanging out,
yeah,
and giving back
like,
to the local community.
yeah, and they do a lot for us as far as forecasting and everything. So
Right.
it's the least we could do, you
Yeah.
know. So it was super fun.
Super cool too. I mean, we go to all these parking lots like every weekend or riding, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the last 2 years I've been to that party, I've met so many people I've never seen before.
All right.
Because you think in our area, you feel like it's kind of a fairly small group of sledders, right?
Yeah.
But then there's like all these faces I've never seen before, ever. So it's really cool to meet new local riders. And for year 2, you guys had people traveling actually to come out.
Yeah. There was one person that drove 20 hours just for the party.
Jordan?
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude,
know.
he was rad.
He's
It was
a good
really
time.
fun chatting with him. But yeah, the commitment, like it's becoming a cool thing, and it's all got that homegrown feel. It's in the shop. There's a fire outside, and people are playing games, and
yeah, it's super fun. And we had such a good turnout the last 2 years, and everybody's stoked on it. And honestly, kind of one of the reasons kind of why we did it was with the 509 not creating the move films anymore. We had a lot of people come up to us and say like, oh man, I missed that event. And obviously this year, you know, you guys did the kickoff to winter, which kind of satisfied that as well. But we're like, well, let's basically do the same event, but without the film, because we don't have anything to really show. I mean, we showed a little edit and stuff, but so that was kind of why we kind of wanted to get into that. Yeah. Which so this year that's I guess another thing is we also added Hayden Troop to the Core Freshies team at the party. He was super stoked on it. We were stoked on him. He's a ripper and extremely good with the camera. So we added him officially to the team at the party, and we're this season going to be creating a full like feature film.
Sick.
With featuring the 3 of us riding. And
I'm jealous of trying to only film with 3 people for the whole season. That sounds great.
So
sorry, 509. I'm gonna quit and go film with
don't do that.
Jaden
and job. I don't want that
and that crew, because that sounds way more relaxed.
Yeah, it'll be chill, and we're gonna travel around a bunch, and actually all of us are on different sleds this year. So Jaden got a Lynx coming, and then Hayden actually switched to Articat. So, and then I'm on Polaris.
You buy your old iron?
No, he didn't. He actually bought a 141, so he'll be on that elevated 141 this year.
That's what he's got for the whole season, huh?
Yep.
Ooh. Okay. That'll be really fun till it's deep.
Yeah, and he'll get around fine. He's such a good rider. And, But
That's rad. Yeah, what a cool event. It'll be cool to see what it grows into. I mean, you guys got a lot of potential there. I think you're right on the bubble of being able to move it somewhere, but you got to do it. You got to do it where it keeps that kind of, shop vibe going.
Yeah.
Whether it's you get access to a farm field or something closer to town, because you're out there a little ways, but I think you could double the amount of people that show up if it was a little more accessible. But at the same time, you take away from that cool,
right?
Because you're like in the woods there.
Yeah.
It's kind of cozy, and
we have a couple ideas. We have some friends that have a hangar out at the airport in Coeur d'Alene that we might try and see if they'd be willing to host it there.
Sounds dangerous.
Well, not on the airstrip, but it's a big hangar that a bunch of room and stuff for people to hang out. But again, that kind of gets away from that woodsy.
Yeah, you gotta be a hell of a bonfire.
Exactly.
I don't think that's a good idea.
No,
airport.
Definitely not.
I think it's like getting on a no-fly list.
No. But that's the other thing is we're trying to figure out is kind of how to still play our movie at that event, or maybe even put it into 2 different events. I don't know. We got a year to figure it out. So.
Well, it's one of my favorite events a year because I don't have no obligations.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah,
you
see everybody out there. You see McKinney let loose a little bit at this party. It's a good time.
I go to all these events and have to be professional or pack stuff up or set up. And this event, I can just let her buck. And
yep,
I was a lot more tame this year. I think I learned from last year.
I mean,
last year I was hurting for sure. I was kind of hurting this year. That was just last weekend.
A lot more tame.
Yeah. Hey, let me put it this way. I remember the end of the night this year.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a plus. That's a plus. But yeah, dude, it's been super cool. I want to preempt this with this has nothing to do with your sponsorship. This was all going on, or you had a sponsorship prior to this, but your wife works with me on the marketing team here at 509.
Yeah. So,
and for the record, everybody, that played no role in Scott going to pro team. I promise you, this was all in the works prior to that. But she has been an absolute gem to work with, dude. It's been pretty cool seeing her dedication to not only the brand, but the sport, and her support in what you do and her interest in what you do. You guys are pretty rad.
Yeah. I mean, she's my wife. I love her.
My wife.
So she's great. It's cool. It's cool now that she's obviously a part of the industry more, just because we can kind of share that passion more than we used to.
Yeah.
And she rides. I mean, that's our families used to go on snowmobiling trips. They still do. We still go on snowmobiling trips together. But while we were dating, because we dated for like 6 years or 5 years before we got married, I think, something like that. Anyway, before we got married.
Long enough.
Yeah. And I think the first year we started dating, we went on a snowmobiling trip to Island Park together.
Same place you learned to ride too, huh?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's super cool, and she loves working here and the team and everything. And I think it's been just over a year now that she got on. So
I think so. Yeah, just talk about a family affair here between work and just having your name in the local area. You got a good thing going here, dude.
Yeah, it's great.
Don't screw up, man. Don't screw.
I don't plan to.
You can lose a lot. Here's a lot on the line.
Okay, I don't like the threats coming out. No, I mean,
keeps you honest.
It's been 7 years or so, and I don't want to throw that away.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally went from number one fanboy to sitting next to the pros, and that I'm still pinching myself. So I don't want to lose that.
You're going to sit next to the pros. You got some goals this season?
Yeah. So obviously, like you were mentioning about Revelstoke trips and being able to ride with those guys would be really cool. That's been a goal of mine, ever since I started. But as far as on a personal level, I really, skill-wise, I really, really want to learn seat grabs. That's like something the last year I got really comfortable in the air, like taking my hand off, looking away from where I was going.
Yeah. Just
the overall comfort in the air. So I think I'm ready to start moving into that.
How are you going to build a grab seat of a matrix seat? There's not much there. There's not much foam there.
Yeah.
Has Brett built one?
He said that he has. He said there's not much to work with, but he has. So
you don't really want to land with your butt on the seat, and imagine it's like a half inch of foam.
Well, that's why I got floats. So
PVC pipe.
I won't have to worry about that hopefully too much.
Is that what you build it out of? Like PVC heated and flex it?
I don't know exactly. I haven't started on it yet.
I'm just brainstorming.
Yeah, I think it's just a PVC pipe. You put in like the oven for an hour or something like that, and then
you gotta flip it and wait till it's
push it down
165 degrees. Otherwise, you get salmonella from it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Is that chicken?
I
think that's chicken, not PVC, right? We're talking about cooking PVC pipes.
Yeah,
you haven't looked up
cooking it.
That's not on your Pinterest.
Warming it up and pushing it down for a grab seat.
I'm sure there's a recipe on Pinterest.
Food.
What would you marinate it in?
I don't know. Some lemon pepper PVC.
That'd be a nice smell when you're going for a big old Superman.
You like get distracted. Oh,
yeah.
No.
You're like, damn it, I need a steak dinner now.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean,
and I guess one more thing on the goal level is just to have fun.
Fair.
Like I was saying earlier, I kind of got away from that, and my focus has changed. And this year, I want to just have fun.
Yeah.
And I know that I already know that that's how you progress, and that's how you become more successful in this industry, is just having fun. And that's what I want to do this year.
Yeah.
So
fair.
I'm already having fun.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
Check that off the list.
Yep.
Yeah, and hopefully we don't get... Dude, the high pressure last year, I mean, you could put out a lot of content for heaven. Like, the reality is we had a shit winter.
Yeah.
Like, there was low snowpack. It was low tide forever. We had high pressure from pretty much New Year's through like middle of February. You wouldn't know what this is because you use Apple Weather's apps, which brings me a lot of internal pain. Anybody listening who use Apple Weather, I am not going to listen to a thing you tell me about the forecast.
Well, that's why I have you, is you just ask you about it. And like, I just compare, and I'm like, oh yeah, Apple's pretty accurate.
No,
keep using it.
No, it's not. It's like you might as well use dial-up internet while you're at it.
According to my Apple Weather, it was not a bad season last year. That's why I produced so much content.
The irony is, it was a horrible season for weather.
I had fun.
Okay, there was a lot of blue days, I'll give you that, but there was no snow.
Rain too.
We both are. I know we were talking about this yesterday. We're just hitting refresh in the webcams around here. Mm-hmm. I love the anticipation it's a love-hate relationship, actually, because you might have a year where you set the bar super high and you get a really good like October ride in. Mm-hmm. And then the next year comes, you don't ride till November. So like your brain starts switching gears in October and you don't get that fulfillment. And then you just start going nuts. And I'm at that point of going nuts. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too, is like we were talking about it, is you've got a trip leaving in 2 days, and this weekend would have been the weekend to go snow hunting, and I'm leaving in 2 days for a week-long trip as well.
We're both going somewhere warm, and like all we're going to be thinking, there's going to be palm trees, and we're going to be thinking about snow.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
You're going on your honeymoon.
Yeah.
Don't ruin that for...
No, and it's going to be fun. I'm excited about it. But the timing is just...
I know. Actually, it looks like maybe in our favor, because next weekend, it looks like...
Sunday, I get back Saturday night at 9:40 p.m. I arrive in Spokane.
Yeah.
I plan to ride that next day. So
we might get in at the same time. What time do I get in at?
I don't know, but we're riding on Sunday.
Yeah, I've been looking at the forecast there. I get back at 6:30 p.m.
Oh, lucky you.
On Saturday. So
you get to sleep.
I know. Yeah, dude, I'm like constantly I have like 6 different apps. I know what time they update. One time it goes at 10 a.m., 4 p.m., and 4 a.m. is when they all update. And when I
just pull out my phone,
when I see the 5-day, then it changes like 3 times in a row in one day. That means there's something that they're watching, right? That they just don't know yet.
I just go like this, see the Spokane Valley. There we go.
That's painful. This is the worst weather app ever.
Looks like it's gonna.
Does that even have radar?
No.
I
don't know. Yeah. I think it pops up when there's like a system in, you know.
Don't talk to me until you're looking at the ocean swells, okay?
Yeah,
then we'll.
I do use Windy a little bit. You told me about that one.
Yeah.
I do use that one.
Should we check it out right now? We're just gonna dive into full weather report in this podcast. Nobody's going to give a shit because they don't live over here.
And I don't know when this is dropping, so
Tuesday. So it's still relevant.
It's relevant, I guess.
Ooh, no, this isn't good.
What's it saying?
Now it's showing pretty dry for the 10-day.
Oh.
But look at Revy.
Yeah. Yeah, Thanksgiving.
60 inches up in Revelstoke in the next 10 days.
You're going home for Thanksgiving, aren't you?
You know, it's kind of a bummer. You got to go back from my girlfriend. And
yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, the whole month of November is pretty much spent. I go Vegas next week and then back, and then it's like a bunch of Black Friday prep and then a bunch more Black Friday stuff. And then it's all of a sudden back for Thanksgiving for like 5-6 days, and then it's December.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a window like the weekend of the 19th of November, right before I go to Michigan for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to do like Friday after work, bomb to Revy.
Yeah.
Ride Saturday, ride half day Sunday, and come back Sunday night.
Okay. If you have a spare.
You want to go to Revy?
Yeah, I'm down.
I got a full truck. So
you do?
Yeah. Oh. Hannah and Ty are probably going to go.
Oh, okay.
So, well, hey, there, you and Ty can carpool and you can use your sled deck.
Yeah. Then we don't
We're
have
just
to take a trailer.
making full plans here.
I'm down. But then the next weekend I go back to Revelstoke.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I guess not.
Yeah. I don't see the problem.
A lot of driving.
Yeah. It's only 300 miles from here.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, put it in your, save the date, put it in your calendar.
I'm down.
We're going to have all these people show up there at the same time. They're following our plans.
They're getting snow, right?
Yeah, they got like 18 inches the other day, and then they're supposed to get just like one storm after another.
Well, you can show me all the cool spots. That
you haven't really ridden up there.
I've gone there 4 times, I think, and all of them have been Thanksgiving weekend. And kind of crappy snow, like never really experienced Revelstoke for Revelstoke. So actually, I went up there like 3 years ago, I think, in New Year's.
Okay.
And it was pretty sweet.
Yeah. When it fills in up there, it is like, dude, you guys, all you Canadian listeners that ride Revy and all that, you guys are so spoiled.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
It's funny because I've gone up there a couple times or in the couple times I've gone up there, they've been like, oh yeah, we have such good trees. And I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
All we ride is trees. Like if I was going to ride trees, I would just stay home.
If you hit Revy, like high alpine blue day after 2 feet of snow.
Yeah.
Dude, the alpine just goes forever up there.
Yeah.
There's so many, it's just a skate park. Like it just keeps going and feature after feature.
Never experienced it.
It's cool. I used to go so much. Like one year I spent like 50 days up there because we had bad snow down here and we filmed a bunch. That I still right now I know every single turn from leaving the house to getting to like downtown Revelstoke. Like I remember
that's sick.
You gotta take a left here after the board. You gotta take a left at Salmo. And you follow up to there, and then you gotta take a right to go up through Castlegar, and then you go through town, and then you hang a right and run by there, and then you go by the little pizza joint, and sometimes it's open.
Yeah.
And then you hang a left, and you go up through the cusp and all that. And then if you don't time the damn ferry right, you're stuck there for an hour. But pro tip.
I'll let you finish.
Pro tip, there's a hot springs 15 minutes before the ferry.
I didn't know that.
So if you know you're not going to make the ferry, pull into there. You can grab dinner, take a quick soak, and then bomb the 15 minutes to the ferry.
Got it figured out.
Done that quite a few times. Yeah.
So the first time I went to Revelstoke, same route, obviously, that you're talking about. But I can't remember why, but I left really late in the day. It was like 7 or 8. And you have to get to the ferry before midnight or else you have to wait till 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. or something like that. Didn't make it in time.
Oh, no.
So I literally slept in my truck on the little down part.
Which is super steep.
Yeah. For whatever. I mean, I didn't really sleep because I was not comfortable at all. But,
dude.
And then woke up, drove the rest of the way, and met everybody that was already up there. And they're like, had never met. I think it was with Caleb, actually. He was the only person I knew. And they actually got there that same night, but went riding as soon as they got there at like midnight and then rode till like...
They went riding at midnight?
Yeah, I think it was like midnight or something, or like 2 a.m. And they just were just so excited that they went riding.
Screw that. I don't care how excited I am going to bed.
I met the Ice Age guys up there, and I was like driving around in circles, like trying to find. I was like, I just saw this sled deck with piled full of snow bikes, and I was like, that's probably them. And then they were like, oh yeah, come on in, come on in. And they're like, yeah, Caleb and I think it was Taylor Fisk that they were like, yeah, they went riding as soon as they got here. They're still up there. And I was like, oh, all right, whatever.
I'll never be at that. I need my rest.
Yeah,
there's no way
same.
I'm riding. Night riding's fun if you know where you are, but no, dude, if I'm pulling into Revy at midnight, I'm going straight to bed. One time we drove up there, total whiteout. To this day, I need to look at Google Maps. I don't know how we did it, but somehow we ended up on 2 ferry rides.
What?
Yeah,
Did you go back and then go?
No, I don't know.
You're that delusional from driving?
We couldn't see, and it was like snowing. It's normally like 5.5 hours from my house to get there. It took us 12. We were
Holy
pulling
crap.
a trailer too, and it was like
Yeah, but
puking,
jeez.
just dumping snow. And I do not know how. The last ferry we took was the one I normally take. I don't know how the hell we took 2 ferries. I need to like get on Google Maps and look around. Yeah,
You went back and then
and you couldn't see anything around you, so there was no like anything
Jeez.
to figure out where you're at. But yeah, that's
I'm convinced you took a wrong road and went back and then
no, I def because I would have had to take it 3
that's
times.
true. So that's really weird. Then
I don't know how we did that, but
Jeez.
it's a mystery I have yet to solve. But yeah,
Yeah.
soon enough we'll be there and we'll be riding
Yep.
beautiful BC POW. But hopefully we get to ride some good stuff here locally.
Or at least just a road. I don't 6 inches of 4 inches of snow.
Isn't that funny
I'm
how
happy. I just want to ride.
how there'll be days when the snow sucks in the winter, like maybe it'll be like wet out or whatever, but there's 10-foot snowpack and you don't want to go ride. But when it's October and there's a foot of
all
snow,
you want.
it's all you want to do. But then the
6
season when
inches,
you got
4
10
inches of
foot,
snow.
yeah. But it's like, oh, it's kind of like rainy out or something. You're like, no, I'm
Right.
not going to ride today.
A week from Sunday.
Fingers crossed, man. Well, Scott, you got anything else you want to hit on?
We kind of talked about the biggest things going on right now for me, so I'm good.
Oh, and if you want to buy a house in the area,
Yeah, Coeur d'Alene. I'm a
Scott
realtor.
is a realtor.
Yes, realtor.
Realtor.
Nope.
Realtor.
Just realtor. There you go.
Realtor. But there's an O.
Just realtor.
Realtor.
There we go.
Realtor.
Realtor. It doesn't matter. Just-
Realtor.
I sell homes. Yes. In Coeur d'Alene. It's a rad place to live. Not trying to plug or anything, but shoot me a DM if you want to look for a house.
Well, thanks, Scott. New kid on the block. You guys finally got to get to know Scott a little more. I know you're kind of an elusive guy. You post a lot of riding stuff, and it's good to people figure out who you are, a little more backstory. And
Yeah, and I know even from you, I'm trying to post more stuff of my face so that people know who I am and show a little bit more of my personal side rather than just riding constantly. So I'm working on it.
we want to see that face. You almost got away without this because that mustache,
Dang it.
that cop stash. Can you just tell us now that you are a cop? Can you give it up finally?
Well, actually, I've been part of Spokane Sheriff's Department for the last 4 years. So
Really?
definitely
I was
not.
concerned.
No, not at all.
We have this.
I'm not a cop, guys. I'm not.
We have this theory that Scott's a cop and he's just slowly
just
building
have a
this,
mustache. That's
building
it.
this case on us, and we're waiting for the one moment we go to ride and he puts us in cuffs.
Nope, not the case.
Okay, that sounds like something a cop would say.
No, it's not.
All right, well, if you aren't already following him, what's your gram here? I'm looking it up.
It's very straightforward. It's at scott.eyer.
That's easy to remember.
Yep.
Scott, you got a ton of good content. You got more coming out. We got a lot to do this season. We're hopefully shooting some local stuff, and obviously we're going to get you with the BC boys together.
Definitely.
So keep an eye on the 519 channels. We're hopefully starting filming the season 3 of the webisodes here in the next month, weather depending. So, yeah, dude, thanks for the time.
Yeah.
Nice to
Definitely.
finally
Thanks
chat.
for having me.
And
Appreciate it.
Stoked for your season and wishing you the best of luck. And
Thank you.
re-entry Eyer is going to be back at it better
More
than ever.
re-entries. I'm all about it.
Sick. If you guys are listening on Apple or Spotify, we appreciate the reviews. Thank you guys for all the 5-star reviews on Apple. Thank you for the guys that taking the time to actually write a review. Those mean a lot to us. If you're on YouTube, just throw us a like, leave a comment. Who do you want to see next? Or leave a comment for Scott. You got a YouTube account? Like, can you reply to him on there?
Yeah, I can. Yes, I can reply to stuff.
Throw a comment in there, and Scott will chime in. But subscribe if you're on YouTube, because a lot coming out this winter. The podcasts are going to continue through the winter season, but we're also going to try to do 12 to 14 episodes of our YouTube webisode series, and those are all going to be anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. So you're going to get 3.5 hours of content throughout the winter here. But thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
See ya.